Donald Trump Jr. defended Kyle Rittenhouse during an interview. So Kyle Rittenhouse, of course, is the person who is alleged to have killed two people in Kenosha, Wisconsin, supposedly defending stores with his AR-15, stores that he didn't own, property that was not his, with a gun that was illegal and brought over state lines. Again, he's only 17 years old, so he's not even the age of where you can actually bring a gun. But nonetheless, Donald Trump Jr. is going to defend him. And here's what he said, quote, "We're waiting on due process. We're not jumping to a conclusion." Trump said during an interview on the TV show Extra, "If I put myself in Kyle Rittenhouse's shoes, maybe I shouldn't have been there. He's a young kid. I don't want young kids running around in the streets with AR-15s. Finally, he says something I agree with. Maybe I wouldn't have put myself in that situation. Who knows? We all do stupid things at 17. Now, Cenk, you were 17 once. You ever shoot people when you were 17?
Yeah, I don't remember shooting three people and killing two of them. I did, trust me, I did plenty of stupid things, but murder was not among them.
No, okay. I just wanted to check. Okay. But again, here's Donald Trump Jr. Defending someone who has, as you put it, murdered two people and, maimed another person. And I mean, this is somebody who is very influential on social media, and he's the president of the United States' son. And again, we have a situation where he's being defended by very, very powerful people. I can't fathom this.
Yeah, Jeff, it's actually worse than that. So the way that fascists take over is they send in vigilantes. Because then in the beginning, when people still care about the rule of law and traditions and customs and things written down on paper like the Constitution, they need to have relatively clean hands. And I actually learned this from Chelsea Manning. She taught me what the phrase stochastic terrorism means. Mm-hmm. And what it is you encourage random people to do violence, and then you say, well, I didn't do it. I didn't tell it. I didn't do anything illegal. I didn't tell Bob to go shoot Sue. I just said, wouldn't it be interesting? Wouldn't it be great if people stood up for themselves and, and believed in their Second Amendment rights and showed those left wingers, where they stand and put them in their place, etc. So they do these things. And then when they do the shootings and they do the deaths and they do the beating up in public, Proud Boys just did it in Oregon. They beat up two people right in front of the cops. Cops originally, or three people originally arrest them, and then they let them go. And the Proud Boys say, we're on your side, right? And apparently the cops are on their side. And so then you back the vigilantes. What does that do? That sends a message to anyone who would oppose the right-wing government. If you go out there to protest, we'll find someone to hurt you and maybe even kill you. And then we'll let them go and show them that there are no consequences. And so what that does is it brings all the protests down and it allows the fascists to win. It's a formula that they have run throughout time and throughout different countries at different times. And now they're running that same formula in America. That's why this election is the most important election of our lifetimes by an order of magnitude. This is not Romney versus Obama, where they have pretty much the same plans. Dole versus Clinton, where I couldn't, if I did a blind taste test of their policies, I don't know that any reporter now could tell the difference between Dole and Clinton. But put aside Biden, who's basically neutral, right? Vanilla. Trump will end democracy. If you don't realize that, you're not paying attention.
I mean, there's a lot of people who say that, and this gets into, of course, there's a small group of people that have decided that they are not going to vote in this election. That they believe that Biden's going to bring the same kind of fascism as Donald Trump. I don't agree with that position. I think that it's not a good position to have because you're missing a lot of things. Joe Biden does not go out there and, say, you should use your Second Amendment solutions. He's out there saying basically law and order. I don't like the protests. Well, he didn't say I don't like the protests. He said, I don't like the looting. I don't like the rioting, which, by the way, 93%, and this is a stat that needs to be internalized by every single news outlet, mainstream media. They need to talk about this. 93% of the protests have been peaceful. And in the 7%, and I can't quantify the different numbers on how much each of these make up, but there are agitators. There are people from the police that go in. You remember Umbrella Man talking about that go in, or just the police that push back and create that violence. And so this is something, you're right, this is fascism. This is an important election, and it's very difficult for me to try to reason with people who don't understand the gravity of the situation, who think, it's just all the same.
So the problem is the binary system that the media has created. Trump is the devil and everybody else is a saint. Now, that's not true. Trump could be the devil, but that doesn't make everybody else a saint. Okay, yes. So the establishment indisputably engages in systemic corruption. And systemic corruption is our long-term enemy. It is the thing that we do battle against over time. But in the midst of that battle, this dark force entered, and to go back to our cinematic universes, right? If Thanos wins, he wipes out half of existence. So we don't have time to figure out how we're going to end corruption when democracy is gone. It's gone. There is no more battle that we can win within that system, right? So look, I'll give you examples of how we can win within a system that is still deeply corrupt. Look, did Ed Markey not just beat Joe Kennedy? He did. So Joe Kennedy was the more corrupt one, the more corporate one, the one that took more campaign donations. Did AOC not beat Joe Crowley? Yes. Was that part of any plan by the establishment? Hell no. They hated that she beat Crowley. They loved Crowley.
Did the squad not just win all of their re-election campaigns against establishment challengers that are much more well-funded?
Easily. They won easily. And guys, two more. So Cori Bush, even the squad didn't think Cori Bush was going to win. Nobody thought Cori Bush was going to win. Look, I'm keeping it real. I love AOC and the squad, but none of them endorsed Cori Bush. Okay. And I hope that they learn from that mistake. Okay. Right. But Cori Bush won anyway. That means we can win within the matrix, but we cannot win in non-existence. Okay. If there is no democracy, we're done for. And the first people they're going to come for is progressives, because the establishment will not protect us. We're the first targets. If Trump wins re-election, I guarantee you he rounds up progressives first. And so, but within the system, guys, it is a solvable system. Rebellion PAC, Justice Democrats, Young Turks, the entire progressive universe, we're in the middle of solving it as we speak. So I can tell you exactly why the squad won re-election easily, as opposed to how hard it was the first time around. That's why I do predictions on the show. Sometimes I get it wrong for reasons that I explain later, but so that you can analyze for yourself. But mainly I do it so you know how the system works and you can see it yourself. So that's why I said ahead of time, Marie Newman is far more likely to win because it's her second time running. And it's about branding and name recognition. We can beat this system, but we cannot beat it if there is no system and we have chaos and fascism.
Exactly. I'm with you 100% on that. And, just like you said, we can fight the system, but only if there is actually a system. We cannot let Donald Trump and the Republican Party, which, by the way, Republican Party, we shouldn't let them off the hook, right? Donald Trump is not a unique evil. He is, and I say this all the time in the show, I think he's the logical conclusion of conservative ideology taken to its end point, essentially. And that's basically what fascism is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Jeff, it's a good way to wrap up. You're 200% right. So here's what I mean by that. One, you're saying what mainstream media will never say because they are too wedded to establishment Democrats and Republicans. They've been kissing their ass for decades. So they can't then turn around and say, oh, those guys that we told you were lovely people, like the honorable gentleman from South Carolina, Lindsey Graham, and the honorable gentleman from Kentucky, Mitch McConnell, et cetera. Well, they're frauds and they're criminals who are trying to steal all your money and give it to the rich and the powerful. They can't say that. They're too deep in, right? Mm-hmm. By the way, they also don't want to say that. So absolutely, Trump is the logical conclusion to that kleptocracy and the oligarchy that was set up. But the other 100% is that with the Republicans permanently losing their demographic advantage, they had no choice but to logically pursue authoritarian government because they can no longer win in a democracy. So, of course, a right wing that celebrates oligarchy and authoritarian forms of government, when faced with a demographic impossibility in a democracy, will turn to authoritarianism. It is the most logical conclusion to the Republican Party that you could possibly imagine.
And it's not like we haven't seen the warning signs or the red flags. Constant voter suppression. We've seen that. We've seen, purging of the voter rolls. We've seen the removal of polling places. We've seen enormous gerrymandering. And it's not like it hasn't existed throughout the ages, but it's been taken to just an extreme. Whenever they can try to find a political advantage, they use it because of that demographic. And, like you would think that, okay, let's just evolve, right, to try to appeal to a different demographic. But understand that the Republican Party serves the donors and the donors only. And so in order to enrich the donors, it really does help to divide people so that you can easily pick their pockets. And when everybody's fighting each other, when you have such high levels of division in this country, it sure does make it easy to distract people. And add in the fact that we have insane clown president, and well, even easier to pick your pockets while you're distracted.
Yep, that's 100% right. And you will never, ever hear that from the corporate media.